Welcome to Channel 18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. Daniel Clay Acker, age 46, will be the 10th convicted killer to be put to death in Texas and the second in 2 days when he is given a lethal injection tonight. The date was set as the date for the execution by 8th Judicial District Judge Eddie Northcutt. The order was hand-delivered to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice on Wednesday, May 9th. Acker is on death row in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, convicted of the kidnapping and murder of 32-year-old Marquita Markey George. Acker, a native of Hunt County, was 29 at the time of his conviction. Acker's made appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. However, in April, the court upheld the 2001 ruling of the Hopkins County 8th Judicial District Court. County Judge Robert Newsom was the district judge who presided during the trial, and local attorney Frank Long was the district attorney. Acker and George were living together in a trailer in Hopkins County when an argument began between the two at a then nightclub Bustin' Loose, located outside the city limits of Sulphur Springs. Acker left the club but returned later and could not locate George. She arrived at the trailer the next morning in the company of a bouncer from the club. Neighbors testified that Acker forced George into his vehicle. Acker says that George jumped from his vehicle, causing her death. Criminal investigators from the Hopkins County Sheriff's Department said she was dead when pushed from the vehicle. Acker was no stranger to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice prior to his capital murder conviction. He was received in TDCJ in May 1993 on a 10-year sentence for burglary of a habitation in Delta County. Released on parole in October of 1995, he returned in April of 1997 without a new conviction. He was released on mandatory supervision in September 1999. He was accused of the murder of George in March of 2000. Acker's execution follows the execution of Troy Clark, who was executed Wednesday for torturing and drowning a woman in his bathtub and then putting her body in a barrel. This will be the first time in 6 years that inmates in Texas have been put to death on consecutive days. Hopkins County Sheriff Lewis Tatum, former criminal investigator Tony Hurley, and Texas Ranger John Vance will attend the 6 p.m. execution. Child Protective Services began an investigation into Pandora Sue Ewalt, age 53, of Sulphur Springs, and her daughter, Summer Wright, for drug use around a child. Ewalt is the grandmother and Wright is the mother of the child. During the investigation, both the grandmother and mother, along with the 11-month-old child, tested positive for methamphetamine. Child Protective Services contacted the Special Crimes Unit, and the Special Crimes Unit began an investigation. During that investigation, Special Crimes Unit obtained a warrant for the arrests of both Ewalt and Wright. Both are charged with abandoned endangering a child, a state jail felony. Both are in Hopkins County Jail, each one held on a $20,000 bond. 40 indictments were handed up by a Hopkins County grand jury Wednesday, September 26th. A list of those indictments can be found on KSSTradio.com.
It's that time again, the Help a Child benefit, which always comes up in October of the year. Well, this year it has some new features. It is set for October 20th with a date night at the brewery on October 18th. Let's find out more from Wade Bartley and his organizers.
It's on the third Saturday of October, and it will be held at the Hopkins County Civic Center this year.
Okay. All right. That's one of the changes. Also with you is Jason Walden. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you going to be drumming for the event?
We are. We've got our band ready, so we're ready to do this.
That's great. And Lee Beck is here with us.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lee. I know you as a singer and other things that you're involved in.
Yes.
And you came on board to help with the Help a Child benefit.
Yes, more specifically, we've got one evening that is new to the event called Date Night at the Brewery that's going to be held at Backstory Brewery. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm helping with that specifically.
Okay, so Wade, this is not on the 20th then, that part?
We've added 2 new events this year and rearranged our regular events just to reach out to a greater demographic of people to be able to get them to help share the joy in giving to these charities at the Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children, the Northeast Texas Child Advocacy Center, and the Southern Christian Children's Home. That's where all of our funds go to.
Okay.
And the date night at the brewery will be held on October the 18th, which is a Thursday night.
Okay.
And so it will be held here at the Backstory Brewery. The owners of that graciously let us use the banquet facilities there at no charge. And Mr. Jason Walden is donating his talents that night for people to come enjoy.
Well, this will be fun for anybody who may not have seen this beautiful new place. Come to date night at the brewery, Backstory Brewery, on Thursday, the 18th of October.
That's correct.
7 o'clock?
7 p.m. till 10 p.m. It is limited seating, so if someone's interested in tickets, they need to contact either I or Lee Beck to get those tickets.
Okay. Well, Jason, come and tell us a little bit about your band.
Yes, ma'am. Well, the name of our band is Jason Walden and the Alibis, and we've been playing locally here in Sulphur Springs for a lot of years, and we're really looking forward to helping out with this event. We just enjoy giving back when we can, so this is definitely just a great cause that we can come and play and just have a good evening together. So we're really excited to do this.
Well, I was happy, Wade, to find out about the Southern Christian Children's Home, which I'm going to ask you about in a moment. But my personal part of this was Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children when my daughter needed their services. And it almost brings you to your knees to go in and see what they do for children with all kinds of disabilities, and whether they be temporary in their life or something they were born with. It's just amazing.
You know, in Nolo, this hospital was founded in 1921 by a group of Masons and a doctor there in Dallas. And since that time of beginning, they've never charged a patient or their family for any of their services, and still today do not charge a family for any of those services, which is very beneficial for many families because of the cost of health care.
Right. And Lee, come tell us about your part in organizing and scheduling this unusual night, date night at the brewery.
Yeah, so date night at the brewery is going to take place, as we said before, at Backstory Brewery here in Sulphur Springs on Magnolia Street. What we're going to do is we'll have an evening of music and food, so we'll be serving a meal. And in addition to that, we're going to have Cowboy Chef Newton to come out, who was on season 8 of Gordon Ramsay's MasterChef.
Okay.
And since the show, Chef Newton has donated his time and his staff to come out and do auction events where a charity can auction off a meal for 10. And he will bring his staff to someone's home or location and provide a meal. The person who wins the auction can choose the meal that they want, and he'll come out and provide that. And he's done a really wonderful job all over Texas, all the way down from Harlingen all the way up to all of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Wow.
And he's raised almost $500,000 doing that in the last several years.
For children's charities.
Children's charities,
How
local
wonderful.
charities. Yeah.
I wonder if he knows about that nifty place at Mahoney.
He will,
Okay.
because we're going to offer the use of our Mahoney Oaks retreat for that dinner event if the owner or the buyer so wishes.
Okay. How
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Okay, then Cowboy Chef Newton will get a real taste of Hopkins County that way. Well, the date night at the brewery, and what else is going to go on there? Is there some food?
Yeah, so we're going to have dinner provided by another friend of ours,
Randy McCoy.
Randy McCoy. And he is going to, as I believe, he's going to have fajitas that night.
Okay.
And it'll be a sit-down meal. You know, we'll have a nice a round table for everybody to sit at,
Okay.
and linens and everything, kind of thing that ladies like to do. So it'll be a lot of fun. And in addition, we'll have the tickets are $25 for that event.
And not a lot of, not an unlimited amount of tickets will be sold.
Approximately 125 tickets is all that will be available.
Okay.
And I would like to mention our sponsors
Yes,
for
please
that nice
do.
event. KSST Radio and KRVA Radio Young Country are one of our premier sponsors for that event that night. Jason Walden and the Alibis, Backstory Brewery, Dr. Robert Lennington, and Mike Newton, Cowboy Chef Newton, those are our sponsors for that event that night.
Okay. I like this new event that you're putting into the Help a Child benefit.
We think it's going to be a benefit,
yeah,
for our benefit.
We think also that people will really, really like it. It's something new and different for our area, and of course, knowing that it helps. I think all parents, once you get to be a parent, you realize, all that was done to help you along, and it really touches your heart to help children.
Well, we've been going along now for 10 years, and it's been very successful with our tractor pulls and chili cook-off, the brisket cook-off, the FFA Ag Mechanic Show, which has been added in the last few years. And this year, when Lee Beck came on board with his talents and with these ideas, now it's coming to fruition, and I think it's going to be very successful.
Okay, so Help a Child benefit is always a tractor type of event.
It's farm related, because that's where we all come
related.
from. We're ag related, and we started with a tractor pull. And the Lake Country Antique Tractor Club has been a part of this event since day one. They've donated their talents, their shows for our pull, just to give people something to watch. And then you come in and see what these people have done with their old tractors and how they really pretty them up and make them look good, and how much fun they have doing that. And then we added, in the last few years, a hot rod garden tractor club, which puts on a little bit louder and faster show. And so in the past, the antique tractor pull has been in the mornings, and then the hot rod tractor pull in the evenings. This year we're changing that schedule up to where the hot rod garden tractor club will start their show at 9 a.m. inside the Civic Center. And they'll go till about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And immediately after they finish, the Lake Country Antique Tractor Club will begin their tractor pull. So there's going to be several events going on out there at the same time. The tractor pull, the chili cook-off, the brisket cook-off. We'll announce the winners of the FFA Ag Mechanic Show, which is in honor of Mr. Ira Black. And then we'll go right into our auction for those items. And so there's plenty and also we've got a Jeep show. The local Jeep club is going to have their Jeeps out there to display. And so there's more for people to come to kind of kick back and relax and enjoy themselves.
So inside and outside the Civic Center,
yes.
The food will be ready by noon?
Be served at 11:30.
And judging just prior to that?
Yes, judging will be at 11 a.m. They'll serve at 11:30. And for $10, they can come in, they eat all the chili they want or all the brisket they want and all the Dutch oven peach cobbler.
Yes, and there's somebody we know that makes that who's kin to you.
My cousin, Wayne Bartley, who is the executive director of the children's home, comes every year, and he cooks approximately 20 Dutch ovens of peach cobbler. And it's usually all gone by the end of the day. So he's well known for his peach cobbler.
We may know the Northeast Texas Child Advocacy Center out of Winsboro, who is one of your benefit organizations. Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children we've already talked about. Tell us a little bit about Southern Christian Children's Home. Okay,
the Southern Christian Children's Home is located in Morrilton, Arkansas. And it's located on the campus, an old campus of Harding University. When Harding moved to Searcy, that campus was vacant. It was purchased by a lady there in Morrilton to be able to take in orphans, and this was years back in the, I don't know, 40s maybe. I'm not sure. Since that time, it's grown to a children's home that probably they have between 30 to 40 children there each year, and they take these children in from broken homes that's been maybe abused or just neglected, and they give them a good Christian environment that they can take these children in, like from age 1 through 18. They go to public schools. They participate in the FFA and 4-H programs, and they have a farm, a 200-acre farm that was donated to the children's home years ago, that they're able to participate in equine events. They've got their own arena, and so they keep the kids active in sports and other activities, extracurricular activities, but it's a good Christian home for these children. And this home does not receive any state or federal funding. It's all sponsored through churches and individuals.
Okay. And participating in the Help a Child benefit is a good way for you to help collectively with everybody that comes to it, if you like these kinds of causes.
Well, we feel like we're reaching out to several different areas that can help children. Just as we mentioned there at the children's home, because of broken homes and maybe neglect, there's a place that these kids can be raised in a Christian environment. The Advocacy Center deals with the same issues with children that's been neglected, abused, and they work hand in hand with our local law enforcement to help bring those persons who are responsible for that neglect or abuse, bring them to accountability for what they've done with less stress on the child. And then, of course, the Scottish Rite Hospital for Children, the facilities there, it's amazing when you go into that hospital, you don't realize you're in a hospital, but they serve children with dyslexia, scoliosis of the spine, clubfoot, and any accident-related event that would affect this child's life. So that's what we're hoping to do, is to be able to create a better life for these children who's been victims of circumstances that are beyond their control.
Well, Scottish Rite is located in a very busy part of Dallas, and that is their major hub, but they are going to build a place in Frisco, is that right?
They have built a new place, a new facility in Frisco, which is going to be directed more towards sports-related accidents or problems that children are having. It's in Frisco. The grand opening ceremonies is to be held here in the next week or so.
Really?
And so they're going to have a cornerstone leveling there for the Masonic group to come in and set the cornerstone, and then they'll have the grand opening after that. So it's about a $6 million facility that they've completed, and it just adds to their abilities to help children.
Well, as Lee Beck was telling me, so many kids are involved almost year-round in sports now, soccer, baseball, and all kinds of things that more injuries come to light and need to be treated. And so that's a lovely thing that they've thought of. It seems like there's added help that you get, Wade, not just putting on an event that's fun and interesting, but the heart of it goes out to helping.
Yeah, and when you mention children, very few people say no when you ask them to help. But it seems like the last couple of years we've had people come to us and say, how can I help? How can I help? And there's another item that we've got that we give away a welder and a trailer the last couple of years, and we've had folks that come in and donated the funds to purchase the welder, the trailer, the tools, and those, the Falk Company, Anchor Contracting Company, Catacon, 5W Construction Company, and the welding store, and this year come on picked an FFA. We've got children helping children.
Okay.
That they've come in and donated this to be given away.
Now that's the trailer sponsors, but we have other sponsors. Lee, would you read that presenting sponsors list there?
Yeah, so we have Benson Brothers Wrecker Service, BT Medical Supply, Cumbie Telephone, Lone Star Surgery, Mahoney Oaks Retreat, Reefer Trailer Sales and Repair, and Bulky Trucking here in town.
So thank you very much for all that you're putting together here for us. This will be October 18th, the Thursday, excuse me, and Saturday the 20th at the Civic Center.
That's correct.
The 18th is date night at Backstory Brewery, okay.
There you go.
And the 20th is at the Civic Center, starting early in the morning.
Daylight.
Okay, daylight. We like daylight. All right. Thank you all for coming in. And thank you, Jason Walden, for bringing your music and your youthful enthusiasm to this.
Yes, ma'am.
And your expertise in things such as music and events, Lee Beck.
Yes, thank you, Enola, for having us.
Okay. And you too, Wade Bartley.
Appreciate you, Enola.
Okay. We will see you at the Help a Child benefit.
Here's Don Julian with sports.
First in news, last year more than 125 girls were signed up as Blue Blazes Buddies. Registration is underway again for this year. And we learned more from Blue Blazes Director Christy McCullough.
We have started our Blaze Buddy registration process as we do every year. The girls have gone out last Friday after our greetings that we do at the elementary campuses and everything. They went and visited with each campus and kind of promoted the program. We left forms at all of the schools, so if the parents have not gotten them yet, they should be coming home in their backpacks. So be checking those backpacks and folders and everything. And we're really excited about seeing how many we get this year and getting ready for that first football game when they get to visit us and everything.
What all will they get to do?
For the Blaze Buddies, it's a year-long program, and they get to do several different highlighted events with us and the Blazes and everything. The first one being the football game, which is coming up, not the next home game. I didn't even look at the dates, but the next one. So 2 home games from now in October. They'll get to do the first quarter and pregame with us, as they always do. After that, then we do they do the Christmas parade with us, and then they also we have a Christmas party with them as well. And then in the spring, they get to Dance and Spring Show, which is kind of the highlight for them to be a part. And I think for their parents, too. I think their parents look forward to that one and seeing their daughter on stage and doing their performance. And then there's some other little things along the way, like pictures back and forth and good luck gifts back and forth. But those are kind of the 3 main events that they get to do with us.
Will they get a form or something, just send a check to you? Or
yes, there are registration forms. Like I said, we're left at the campuses, at all the elementary campuses. We also visited Little Acorn and Water Oak and the Christian Academy, and we got all that information to them. There's also registration forms at Fieldhouse if they do not get one that they can go by and do. And then they can either just send it through office mail through their campus. We've had some, or they can mail it to the address. It's a P.O. box that's on the registration forms, or they can drop it off up here if they want to and come by. It's $50 for the year, and that covers all the goodies they get and all the expenses that we give them throughout the year. And then if there are multiple siblings that want to do it, there is a discount, and all that information's on the registration form.
Let me see. What was I going to answer? I had a very important question. It just leaped. Was there a deadline for this?
There is not a deadline. There is a deadline for them to be able to do the first football game, which is October 5th is the deadline for that, because we want to get their shirts ordered and they get pom-poms and things at the game. It's always to their advantage to register now, just because then they get all the goodies for the entire year, but they can join any part of the year if they want to. Last year we had 125 buddies. It just exploded. We went from I think 70 or 75 to 125, and we were overwhelmingly blessed with that because we had never experienced that before. And we've already had a great response so far this year, both in questions and registration forms already coming in. So we would love to see that many again, and we'll figure out a way to service them all if they want to come spend that time with us. So that was very exciting for us, and to see the effect that the Blazers are having on the community and the younger students, and the opportunity to be a role model. So bring them on. We're ready.
How many years have you had this program?
We actually started it my first year here, so this will be the 13th year. Now, it's the Booster Club is the one that's really in charge of organizing it, and it's a fundraiser for them, which obviously comes back and benefits the girls. But they kind of head it up, and then we supply the worker bees with the Blazes and the getting to do the fun stuff. But it was an idea that first Booster Club, my very first year here, had kind of already researched, and they presented to me. And, wanted to do it. And I was like, great, let's do it. And it has just grown over the years. And like I said, we've averaged anywhere from 50 to 70, a year, depending on kind of what was going on in the school year and who could come. But last year was the first year it just exploded on us. And we were just so excited to see that interest in those numbers. So we gladly see them again.
You had a current Blaze say.
We have. That's been kind of neat. It makes me start feeling a little old to realize that I've been here that long. But I've had several girls now starting to come through. I've got some pre-drill girls, and it's really neat to see that they were a buddy as they were younger, and they'll bring me pictures of themselves with their Blaze at the time and everything. And now they're getting to kind of pay that back towards the buddies that come through the program now. So it has been beneficial, both as like I said, as a role model program for the girls, but then also kind of a recruitment program for us through the years, and to watch those girls grow up, with being a Blaze in mind.
In sports, the Wildcats football team may have an open date Friday, but Gerald Prim Stadium will be the site for a quality Class 4A matchup on Friday. Liberty Ilo and Argyle varsity teams will meet Friday at 7:30 p.m. at the Prim. Liberty Ilo is 1-3 for the season, but they have played a rugged schedule. They opened with losses to Arkansas High, Carthage, and Texas High. The Leopards did win last week against Atlanta. Argyle is 3-0 this season, and they have wins against Stephenville, Waco La Vega, and Tyler Chapel Hill. Finally, the Wildcats team tennis squad has picked up a forfeit, officially 1-0, a 1-0 win over Mount Pleasant. The Wildcats complete district play with a 2-2 record, and they will be the district's number 3 seed in by-district playoffs coming up. The Wildcats' season record is now 5-9. Mount Pleasant could only get a handful of players to play team tennis this year and ended up having to forfeit to the 4 district schools that have team tennis squads. And Royce City does not compete in team tennis. Wildcats tennis coach Tony Martinez had hoped to take a few of his players to Mount Pleasant this week to get them some matches with the Tigers players, but the weather refused to cooperate. The Wildcats lost district matches to Texas High and Lindale, but they defeated Greenville to go along with that Mount Pleasant forfeit. Coach Martinez said he expects to have some more solid playoff information after some very big matches coming up next Tuesday involving the top 2 teams in both District 15 5A and District 16 5A.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News. Have a great evening. Welcome to News Notebook for Tuesday, March 27th. I'm Jimmy Rogers. Testimony in the capital murder trial of Daniel Clayt Acker continued Tuesday morning as local law enforcement officers and a criminal scene investigator with the Texas Department of Public Safety took the stand. The DPS criminal investigator testified that 2 hair strands were found on a vehicle Acker was driving when he allegedly killed Marquita George and left her on a county roadway. The investigator testified that bloodstains were found on the truck seat. One of the hair strands found inside the truck and the blood stain matched George. No blood was found on the exterior of the truck, according to the crime scene investigator. According to William Howard McDowell, attorney for Acker, the defense will seek to raise doubt regarding how the death of George occurred. They will seek to raise the possibility that George jumped from the truck and was struck by the vehicle, thus causing her death. A Dallas medical examiner took the stand Tuesday afternoon. Acker is being tried for the capital murder of Marquita George, whose body was found on a Hopkins County roadway when county deputies responded to a disturbance call in March of last year. Daniel Acker took the stand in his own defense Wednesday afternoon. The 29-year-old is accused of the capital murder of Marquita George. Prior to taking the stand, Acker's mother had asked for time to speak with him about his taking the stand. In comments heard in the courtroom, she stated he did not need to take the stand as a witness. Acker refused to speak with his mother. Acker testified that he had lived with George for 1 month prior to her death and that he had known her only 2 weeks prior to their renting a mobile home and moving in together. The two had met at Busting Loose. Acker stated alcohol affected their relationship. Testimony in the capital murder trial Tuesday afternoon heard a forensic expert testify that after examining the clothing worn by Marquita George at the time of her death, they found no paint chips from the truck Acker was driving. Acker is alleged to have murdered George before leaving her on a Hopkins County roadway in March of last year. The prosecution rested their case Wednesday morning. The first 2 witnesses called by the defense were excused based on hearsay evidence. According to William Howard McDowell, attorney for Acker, the defense will seek to raise doubt regarding how the death of Acker occurred. They're seeking to raise the possibility that George jumped from the truck and was struck by the vehicle, thus causing her death. Hopkins County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Supervisor Alan Story answered questions regarding the time log of calls made to the Sheriff's Office in reference to the event. The time of the calls, the times of response, and the number of calls made were the focus of the questions. Acker's mother testified Wednesday morning. The jury was not present for that session. The mother testified she met Acker on the day of George's death at his place of work. According to her testimony, he was distraught and wanted to seek help for George. She said he told her Marky is dead. She said he told her George had jumped from the truck. Daniel Cleet Acker was found guilty of capital murder by a 7-woman, 5-man Hopkins County jury. Acker was found guilty of the capital murder of Marquita George, whose body was found on a Hopkins County roadway in March of 2000. The jury verdict came at approximately 11:30 a.m. Friday morning following 1.5 hours of deliberation. During deliberation, the jury had requested 2 photos, one of a truck Acker was driving at the time of George's death, the other of the neck of the victim. District Attorney Frank Long had sought to prove George died of strangulation. Closing arguments were presented Friday morning. In reviewing evidence admitted in the trial, defense attorney William Howard McDowell stated Acker was not an intelligent man and could not have made up the story he told regarding the death of George. Acker had claimed George jumped from his truck and was struck by the vehicle, thus causing her death. McDowell said extensive road rash on George's body, the hair found at the top of the truck passenger door, blood on the doorway and on Acker's boots, plus a .07 alcohol content in George's body verified the testimony of Acker. McDowell also appealed to the autopsy report, stating the necklace she was wearing was not broken. And he asked, why were specific bones in her body not broken if he had driven over her body after killing her, as the prosecution stated? McDowell also stated the unbroken fluorescent light tubes in the front seat of the truck pointed to no struggle taking place in the vehicle. In rebuttal, District Attorney Frank Long reminded jury that Acker had testified George went out of the truck feet first. He questioned how had the trauma to the head been the cause of death if she went out feet first. Long also pointed out that tire tracks showed the truck was weaving all over the road from the struggle inside the truck. Long said Acker lied in the testimony he had given. District Judge Robert Newsom charged the jury to return a verdict of capital murder, or kidnapping. The punishment phase of the trial began at 1 p.m. after the jury found him guilty of capital murder. District Attorney Long called Hopkins County Sheriff Butch Adams, Delta County Sheriff Benny Fisher, Sulphur Springs Police Department Patrolman Antoine Young, and Sulphur Springs criminal investigator Rusty Stillwagner. They testified as to the reputation of Acker. 2 ex-wives of Acker also testified to previous acts of family violence. The defense began with a psychiatrist testifying that Acker would be a low risk to society following a long-term incarceration. The district attorney is seeking the death penalty. Should Acker receive the death penalty, he will join a cousin already on death row. One of Acker's wives told KSST Channel 18 News that Acker is a cousin to Lawrence Russell Brewer, who is on death row, convicted of the dragging death of a black man in Jasper, Texas.